So Saturday we did too much, and then we pretty much canceled Sunday. Xerxes and I spent the entire day in New York City, Manhattan, you know, the big city, not the outer boroughs, not the city that doesn't count, the big one, Manhattan, the one that's cool for everyone, the one that has no rivals because it is all right, you get it. Manhattan, it's the place with everything, right? But we're just a few miles, maybe 6 miles to inside of Manhattan. We don't have a car, this is by bike, but it's still doable. We could still go any day. But Saturday, I I'm not sure I made the best version of plans. Okay, I really want you to judge me on this. Here's how this started. There was this book event at 10 a.m., and then there was some sort of Shakespeare thing at 7 p.m. And so I thought, let's do both and let's not go home in between. We could just, be in the city where like you can just go for a walk as far as I and Xerxes is concerned. I think I could speak for you in saying I think that just walking around in Manhattan is actually something to do. Would you agree? Yeah. I mean, that's so what are you doing? I'm gonna go walk around is interesting. It's a function, it's an event. But to be in New York all day. Like it's not completely bananas. A lot of people do it, but you gotta think ahead. When you're trying to live pretty frugally. And listen, if you're coming into New York in general, if you're flying in, if you're a tourist, if you're a visitor, whatever you want to call yourself, spend money on the food. And I'm not saying that I don't want to spend money on the food and that we don't spend money on the food and on the outings and everything. This little series of mine where I'm trying to do all the free things, it's because we live here. So we can't be touristy about our money every day. It can't be vacation money every single day. You kind of have to pick and choose. And so sometimes it has to be fun to sort of like be a tourist in your city, but not live on vacation money. But I am a big, um, what? I say live New York City, come here, visit, and do it both ways. Do it spending a large amount of money if you can. Do it being frugal, have some pizza, and I don't know, work it out. But here, again, because we live here, I'm not about to just like, let's eat at the best steak restaurant today. Let's blow money on, a cafe that will cost like $50 a person. Like things that are still magical, wonderful, fantastic experiences, but they can't be every day. So here's a day with frugality, right? The book reading is absolutely free. I continue to look for free things so that I can continue to say, there's all kinds of different events at different prices in New York City. Now, I was turned on to this book reading as an event by my friend Alyssa. She told me that people get together and read, not as a book club, not as read to each other. Everyone brings their own book, their Kindle, whatever. They sit there and they read on their own. Then there's like some sort of before or after, depending on who's putting it together or how it goes. But these are sort of like, I don't know if I would call it book reading parties, but I'm pretty free and loose with the term party, so I'm going to call it a book reading party. So I saw that there was one in Manhattan. It doors open at 10 and the readings start at 10:30, which I'm sure you can start reading before or after doors open. It was outside. So, but that was the schedule. So my whole thing is let's leave by but we have to think about this. If something starts at 10 and it takes us like an hour to get there. It's on the west side. And if we're not coming home until like 12 hours later, you got to think of like, the bathroom situation will need consideration out there. Food sources, air conditioning. It was a hot day, places to rest. So we packed a couple sandwiches, We considered, what I'll tell you what we did throughout the day with the rest of the food time. You can't just have two sandwiches and that's your whole day, 12 hours. You're walking around, you're biking around. Air conditioning, um, we didn't light on fire. We went to a church. I'll tell you about that. Places to rest. There are parks. So we started off. It took us maybe too long to get all these things ready and set up. Maybe you're supposed to do that the night before because maybe instead of leaving at 8:30, we left at 9:30, but we had the water and everything. And but by the time we got to the reading, although it was outside, it was in a concentrated space in Lincoln Center. So this was I wanted to share along the way, like, how far everything is. This was 8 miles and one bridge. It's Lincoln Center at Hearst Plaza, which is just a beautiful outdoor at Lincoln Center, that I don't know that I knew existed, but I know Lincoln Center exists. Anyway, it sounds like this boring thing to do, but I was very, very looking forward to it. But by the time we got there are no seats. They did say, you could bring a blanket or something, I think. Anyway, we didn't bring a blanket. Also, there were some people on blankets. It wasn't a comfortable feeling because people were sitting on chairs and then other people were sitting on blankets and were on concrete at Lincoln Center. But they had already finished their first session of book reading and there was somebody speaking. So this was amplified. And it means that we can sit a little further away in sort of a different section of seating and still listen in. It's not that easy to hear, but I'm listening in and I'm like, oh, they're generically speaking. They're going to have not for nothing and no offense, you're going to have a lot of very PC responses to everything. It's kind of like when famous people go on talk shows to talk about the movie that they just made. And the talk show host goes, "What was it like working with that director?" I don't know, awful. Like, what am I going to tell? Of course, it was great. What's it like working with your coworkers? It's like that, but intense and a lot more money. Anyway, where was I? Oh, yeah, so it's outside. We don't have seating. We're far away. They're genetically, whatever. There's a second session. So when that interview was done, I thought, all right, we sat there, we read our books, everybody from afar, we're still here with you. It's all good. We're still part of this. We were sitting and we were reading, but here's the thing. So they said, sorry, I'm going to backtrack. They said, we're going to go to the second session of reading. And after that, we're going to do a couple of things that we'll chat amongst each other, we'll meet each other, and they're going to play games that will help sort of warm people up to each other. And we're going to get to, this is like, it's so funny that we as adults need this, It's like, and then we'll play a little game, and that game is let's meet other people in public. We're going to give you a square, and they'll have a little hole that's a square shape. And together you can play this game, and ha ha ha, we're adults, but hey, life is where it is. And that's the kind of silly stuff that I'm willing to try to have the experience to actually chat with people that maybe I couldn't get to. I couldn't get to talk to. All right. So now, like I said, we're not sitting by the group. We're sitting with other people. There's just a few benches, picnic table-y things. So we have to share the picnic table with this guy. This guy is so funny. First of all, he called us tourists. He's on the phone. He goes, "Hold on, these tourists are about to sit at my table." Excuse me? Then I thought about it a little bit. We are carrying things and we do look like, and I just said I didn't even know this part of Lincoln Center exists. Whatever, dude. Okay, the looks we gave you, you should have taken it back a little bit, but doesn't matter. But he turned into what I thought was a cartoon version of this character, but apparently it's real. It's the guy who talks on the phone about total business, totally all the time, totally. Like the TPA will, and I don't, and pardon my French, but I don't like her. And just I don't know how to do an impersonation of this person, but I believe I watched at least 2 SNL um skits with this guy. So we're looking around for other seats, of course, because no matter who we're sitting with, if there's other seats available where we get the whole picnic table, we're looking around. He stops his very important business conversation to tell the person on the phone, look, they're uncomfortable. They need to find other seats and sit with other people. But who would not look for others? Stop it. You're being a weirdo to tourists. How about that? Anyway, so the book time was over, although the story that Xerxes and I really got to hear is this guy on the phone. So that's really what the book took up. Then they're going to play this game. And I'm thinking, is this the kind of game that we can jump into and say, like, hey, we were over there, but we were reading also, like, we're totally doing the same thing. But they're putting people into groups, and they said that they would facilitate the warming, the meeting, the helping of people meet. But they said, find a group up. That's not comfortable. And then they said, and we'll give you prompts like, what book would you recommend to someone if they'd be stuck on a deserted island or something like that? I'm close, right? That was, yeah, pretty much. And I was like, no, maybe if we were already in the group, and I have nothing to say about that. I don't know how to answer this. Those are very tough questions for me. I don't know. How to Not Suffer. What's that book? One Day at a Time. Oh my God, I do know how to answer this. Anyway, of course, because I'm willing to do the corniest things because I think they will end up being fun. Because I think a lot of times the things that I poo-poo, like, that's a stupid generic question, ends up being like a fun, easy thing that is rated, PG so that everybody can join. And look at me judging the thing that I woke up early to try to go get to do, and then I didn't get to do it. I'll try again. These things happen often, and maybe we'll get our butts out of bed a little bit early. Sometimes it's a little bit hard to be like, let's get out of bed and do all the things we need to do and get to a place so that we can read. That might have been hard that morning. That's what I'll give us for that. But now we have a whole day. And we have until, I think it was only noon at this point, we have until 7 for the next event. So we ride down to Bryant Park, that's 2 miles. And Bryant Park, like, first of all, I was so tired because even though we left late, I still woke up at like 7. And I knew I would need some kind of rest. But I thought maybe we could find one of those places where they have, semi laying down, sort of concrete-ish, comfortable, because other people's ackies might not be left on some sort of structure like this. I thought maybe we would find that, but Bryant Park is what there was, because I don't really know where those things exist outside of Long Island City, and we're nowhere near that right now. Okay, Bryant Park, fantastic park. Has chairs and tables, so a lot of people in the neighborhood, it's a lot of people just work in that area. And so they'll have their lunch there. They have movies in the park in the summer. They have events, they have concerts. But it's a nice open green lawn. And if you don't want to sit on such things, there's seats and tables. I say this like it's a big deal because in New York, I think it is. Even though they turned all of Broadway into like what seems like a sitting area around Times Square, which is absolutely amazing. I think it still is incredible when you can have a regular picnic experience like all the other states. I'm not used to it. I'm used to them. I think this is why. I think to try to get people to stop sleeping on benches and things like that, they started making things uncomfortable and not lay downable. So now when I find comfort in places like this, it's such a luxury. So I decided to use their lawn. And like I said, we didn't bring a blanket. I think that was a mistake. I took the sweatshirt that I ended up carrying the rest of the day because I thought maybe it might get chilly at night. That's another thing. When you don't have a car, it is freeing and fantastic. But when you have to carry whatever you'll need for the rest of the day, sometimes that could be a little irksome. Is irksome a word? So I laid down on the grass, used the hoodie for a pillow, and the sky is beautiful. And because Xerxes is there sitting on a chair and awake, I felt comfortable falling asleep for a couple little snoozes, little luxury. Thank you so much for watching me so that, I don't know, a rat doesn't hang out without me noticing. And it was just lovely, which gave me the second win to do the rest of the day. Oh my God, it was so much. Here's the hack. Whole Foods is right there. We bought an espresso iced coffee thing, a bunch of liquid. Then we bought a giant thing of ice in the Whole Foods cafe in a to-go ice thing. And milk and sugar apparently came with that. Anyway, that's coffee for the whole day. 50 cents for each cup of ice. Again, if you're a tourist, have a seat in one of the cafes. You could sit outdoors, you'll have a waiter, or, you'll have a barista. Luxuriate. This is regular day shit, right? Now we have a nice coffee that we can walk around with, cool down with the ice. Fantastic. We walk to St. Patrick's Cathedral. Why? We're both atheists. We just want to see if the flames are real. They are not. So we did walk in. It's just beautiful. It's beautiful and it's air conditioned. And here's the thing. Apparently for 5 grand, 15 grand, like a large amount of money, you can get married in a public place, like St. Patrick's Cathedral. And there was a wedding going on. I didn't know this. I was passing by and taking pictures from the front door because it's just so giant. And I know you've seen the cathedral like this, but you haven't seen it while someone's yelling at me about you can't stand here. Excuse me. What kind of churchy wedding vibes are those? I understand that you think you now own the place, or at least you have to show the people that you're working for, since you're the wedding planner of sorts, that you have a hard job to do right now. But don't come at me yelling right away. What kind of atmosphere is that? Who who brings that to a church? Okay, well, anyway, uh after like a minute, this was amazing. Everybody lined up. The wedding thing was happening. People were yelling. The bridesmaids were all lined up down the stairs, all wearing the same thing. Like 20 bridesmaids. I don't know if I'm exaggerating. It was at least 12, I think. And same on the other side. And I'm thinking this bride has got to be young. She is, and she was like 22, 24. I don't know. Who has 20 friends that have time to get the same dress and like stand there and hoot and holler as you want? That's a lot. I don't know that I can say 20 people would want hey, comment below if you want to stand there with the same color dress. Oh, and in the place of the Lord Jesus Christ, I lost my water bottle, and it was not in the lost and found. So whoever found it stole it. You know how precious this water bottle is to me. And Xerxes stopped himself from saying, "I told you so." He knows I'm going to lose the water bottle because I put it down. Never put it down. And he didn't say it because he knows I'm already saying it to myself. And I know that there is a moment before every water bottle lost, and I think this is the third one. So help me. I am so sorry. And there wasn't even holy water in there, but it is now. Now that you stole it, that's holy water. It had my special straw in it. Anyway, I put it on my left. Xerxes on the way out is to my right. In my head, I was like, hey, idiot, at least put it on your right. So it's next to Xerxes, who knows to look out for your cup. Anyway, shout out to you, Xerxes, for not saying I told you so. You should know, and you do know. I'm saying it to myself, and I feel bad. Then we took our bikes across into the west side and the Empire Trail. This Empire Trail starts on the west side of Manhattan and goes all the way to Canada. It's so beautiful. We only did about 30 miles of it so far, but I mean, this sounds like a great trip. And every time I say, do you really want to do this with me? He says yes. So we plan on taking a bike trip from New York to Canada at some point. This will take days because we're not like 100-mile, day people. I want to do it like leisurely and maybe look around if there's something to look around at. It's all upstate New York, basically. So I don't know how much there is to see. But wow, imagine. Anyway, some of that trail is just along the west side, and it is beautiful because the trail and one side of you is Manhattan, and the other side is the water, parks, party venues, bowling, piers, boats, helicopters. Because we were riding downtown, we could see the Freedom Tower. And like I said, it goes all the way up to Canada if you want. It's a few hundred miles. But we stopped at Pier 55, which has the little island. It's like this, is it 57? We went to 57, but Little Island is at 55. So we stopped at 55. That's Little Island, which is an incredible park that was donated, according to Xerxes. Like, we only have it public for 20 years, right? This billionaire spent $260 million to create this park. It has a theater. It has this incredible design. We went next to that, which is Pier 57, which has, excuse me, a rooftop park. Now, New York is very loose about the word park. It's a park, sure. It has City Winery and a food hall, so you can like buy food from the food hall. You all can buy different amounts, different things, and then go upstairs and eat, even though there's no tables. No, when there are tables, there are no chairs. When there are chairs, there's no tables because they don't want people, I guess, luxuriating all day. Well, guess what? One of those benches turned into a table for us. We went to Aldi. We made ourselves a weird charcuterie board. Who knows how to say that word? Raise your hand. Charcuterie board. Charcuterie board. You just have to mean it. You have to yell it, I guess. Charcuterie board. Anyway, is a little windy, but these are all to me very romantic, very be a tourist in your own city, very staycation-y. It's so if I told myself like today you're gonna go to a rooftop and um you're gonna ride your bike on the Empire Trail and you're going to go to Lincoln Center and Bryant Park. These are a lot of things. So, and yes, we're getting tired. But after that, boom, just like that, it's time to go to the last thing, which starts at 7. It's another 3 miles downtown. And this is what I thought it was called Shakespeare in the Park because that's a thing that exists. I thought this was like the baby version of it because it's not. Shakespeare in the Park is, I think, expensive. It's in an actual theater, I think, in Central Park. I remember going, and it was like a very zhuzhed up event. These seem a little more like the children of, like, not as zhuzhed up. Because it's Shakespeare, not in the park, in the parking lot. We were in a parking lot. Oh, New York. Now, this is on the Lower East Side. I used to live here. This is where I used to go to Surf Reality, Collective Unconscious. And even if you don't know what those venues are, because a lot of people don't, they were like in the middle of, what at the time was nowhere. The door was hard to find. It wasn't like, was on Google Maps or anything because Google didn't exist. Anyway, the Lower East Side, it was very like that time, very avant-garde. Um, there was a tent there that was their backstage, um, and it really was about to happen just in a parking lot with like, you know, different kinds of chairs. And we actually got chairs because we came on time. And I'm thinking, hey, this is like a little thing. There's no amplification. Like I said, it's very artsy avant-garde. So I thought like, hey, this is gonna be like a 45-minute interpretation of it, with Shakespeare language in that whole thing. But I thought you can't do it for 3 hours. The light will turn dark. It'll be night. I don't know. That's just a lot. And plus, I already can't hear well. No, it was 3 hours. I don't think no intermission, right? No intermission? No intermission, 3 hours. I was like, "Oh, I can't do that. I can't do that," because it's hard to understand Shakespeare unless it's done, like, with just all the right things, because you can't speak it like a poem. You have to speak it like you're speaking regular words, and I think that's very hard to do. But I have seen Shakespeare where I was like, wow, I totally get why everyone's in love with him now. But then I've also seen Shakespeare where it's like, I don't think I heard one thing that they said. I don't, I don't know. It's like that cadence just goes over my head. And so I thought it's already hard for me, like physically, to hear it. I don't know if the word is physically. It's not audible to me. And then it's also in a different language, a difficult language for me, not different, but also different, right? Um, so we left. We left, and I mean no disrespect. It was cool to be there for even that time to soak up the energy of that art and the like the Lower East Sideness of it. It was cool, but we went home. That was 9 miles plus a bridge. At the end of this day, it's at least 23 miles, over 20,000 steps, because some of these places we walked to and the mile ones we rode to, but there's so much walking. And the next day just was shot. We were like, "Did you want to do that thing that we said we might do? Didn't we say we might do that? Let's just skip it." So is that worth it? Is it worth going from like thing to thing and having a big fat day and then the next day you're just like shot? Or is spreading it out better? And I say we'll never get to pick. We'll never get to decide. It's kind of like, hey, that's what was happening that day. Maybe the next day you rest. Maybe on a different day you can have balance all in one day. But I don't think you could just plan balance, because that in itself is just unflexible. Inflexible? And that seems like the antithesis of balance, but I don't know. Words to think about, I guess. But no, because it is what it is. Enjoy the day that you have in New York in whatever way. That's the thing. There's so many different ways to enjoy the same streets that like we've been seeing our whole lives. So enjoy New York. Good night.